Sophie was 20 years old and the eldest child in her family. Over the past few months, something had shifted inside her. The sweet, playful sister her siblings had once adored had been replaced by someone quick to anger and sharp with words. Her patience wore thin easily, and small annoyances became triggers for her harshness. Her younger brother Jamie, just 10, and sister Lily, 12, often found themselves the target of Sophie's frustration. One afternoon, the tension in the house reached a breaking point. Jamie was playing with his toys in the living room when he accidentally knocked over a glass of juice, spilling it across the carpet. Instead of calmly helping him clean up, Sophie's temper flared. "Watch what you're doing. Can't you be more careful?" She snapped sharply, her voice loud enough to startle both Jamie and Lily, who was nearby. "You're so clumsy. Why do you always mess things up?" Jamie's eyes filled with tears. He looked down at the sticky mess, and then at Sophie's angry face. Lily stepped in, trying to calm Sophie down, but Sophie turned her frustration on her too. "Don't defend him, Lily. You're just as bad sometimes," she yelled. Jamie and Lily ran to their mother, who was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Their faces were tear-streaked, and their voices trembled as they recounted Sophie's words. Their mother's heart sank. She had noticed Sophie's changing behavior, but hoped it was just a phase. Seeing her children hurt and scared made her realize that Sophie's bullying had gone too far. That evening, after dinner, their mother called Sophie into the living room. The house was quiet, the weight of the moment filling the space. Sophie sensed the seriousness of what was to come. Her mother's voice was calm, but carried a tone Sophie rarely heard. "Sophie, I've been hearing about how you've been treating Jamie and Lily. This behavior cannot continue." Sophie rolled her eyes, her usual defiance bubbling up. "They're annoying. I'm the oldest. I should be able to tell them what to do." Her mother's eyes softened, but her expression stayed firm. Being the oldest means you have responsibility, not to boss them around or hurt them with words, but to be an example and protector. What you've done is bullying, and it's unacceptable. Sophie scoffed, but before she could say more, her mother walked to the closet and took out a wooden paddle. The sight of it silenced Sophie instantly. "This is serious, Sophie," her mother said, "because you've refused to change your behavior and have hurt those who look up to you. You will be punished." Sophie's heart hammered in her chest. Though 18, she knew the paddle was a sign her mother was deeply disappointed and that this was not something she could dismiss. "Bend over the couch," her mother instructed quietly. Sophie hesitated but obeyed, turning and bending over the couch armrest. Her hands gripped the cushions tightly. The weight of the moment pressed on her as she felt vulnerable and exposed. Her mother raised the paddle and brought it down with firm resolve. The first swat was sharp and immediate. Sophie gasped, her body jerking with the sting. The pain was intense and surprising, her breath catching in her throat. But it was more than the physical sensation. It was the crushing realization of how badly she had hurt her siblings and disappointed her mother. Without pause, a second swat landed. Sophie clenched her teeth, tears pricking her eyes. Her mother's voice was steady as she spoke. "This is for every harsh word, every shout, every moment you made your siblings feel less than loved." The paddle came down 2 more times, each strike deliberate and measured. Sophie trembled with each blow, the sting radiating across her skin. But with every strike, the weight of her actions grew heavier in her heart. The physical pain would fade, but the lesson was deep and lasting. Her mother paused, watching Sophie carefully. "Love means holding you accountable when you hurt those who depend on you. You need to be better, not just for their sake, but for your own." 2 final swats followed, reinforcing the lesson with undeniable clarity. Sophie sobbed quietly, the pain and shame mixing together. When it was over, her mother set the paddle down and wrapped her arms around her trembling daughter. "I love you, Sophie, but love also means discipline when it's needed," she whispered. Sophie cried into her mother's embrace, feeling the heavy burden of guilt and regret. She understood that this punishment wasn't just about pain, it was about growth, about learning to be a better sister and a better person. The days that followed were filled with hard work, not punishment, but effort to make amends. Sophie apologized to Jamie and Lily sincerely. She helped with their homework, listened patiently to their stories, and treated them with kindness she hadn't shown before.